Hey. Sir. We'll call this recommending meeting to order the 20th of April, 2010. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes.
With that being said, we'll move to the first line item of business, which is bill number 2010-15, reducing the minimum amount of meal services seating that must be provided by establishments with beer wine cooler on sale and beer wine cooler on off sale licenses, sponsored by Councilman Gary Reese. Staff?
Yes, committee, this bill is an effort to reduce the amount of seats that are required in these two types of licensed establishments. The current seating required is 45, set forth in the licensing code and reflected informationally more than anything else in the zoning code. So this ordinance amends both of them. The request from the councilman is to reduce the number of seats from 45 to 30, and so this bill will accomplish that.
And the question that I have in regards to reducing it from 45 to 30 is, what is the need to reduce it from 45 to 30? What, is there a problem or an issue?
I think in the past that's been a way of distinguishing different types of establishments, those who focus on food, those that focus more on drink. This was, in the past, these two licenses were seen as one who ought to have a certain level of seating for meals, and presumably there's been a request to have this amount reduced so that someone can have their facility accommodated and still have these licenses. Mr. DeFury is here if you have any questions.
And I was going to say, I think one of the problems that has occurred because of the economical issue is it's very difficult for people to get the people buying the food as much as they buy the liquor. And if you cut it out, if you say, all right, you're not buying enough food, then they have to close down. And we're just, I believe, trying to help the businesses. Jim can probably explain that more, but it's to help the businesses stay open.
Jim DeFury, Manager of Business Services. You're correct, Councilwoman. The difference between this type of license, the beer wine cooler on sale license, and a supper club, the supper club is tied to percentage of alcohol and food that they have to maintain through the course of the license. The only condition that's on this type of license is to be able to serve alcohol with a meal at a small restaurant. In the past previous councils did not want to have a beer bar where people could go in and just buy a beer and sit and watch TV or just mingle amongst each other. They wanted to have it tied into the service of a meal at that location. They put a restriction on the beer wine cooler on sale license of having a minimum requirement of 45 seats. There was no magic to that number. What it did do is it made it the appearance of a larger restaurant, but this goes back to the earlier mid-'80s. Now today, you can have a sandwich shop, you can have a smaller restaurant in communities, but they don't meet the seating requirement of 45 seats, simply because there's not enough space, and there are fire requirements and building and safety requirements, and this in this economy today is trying to be a little bit more business friendly to the smaller mom and pop businesses, so to speak, and give them an opportunity to have alcohol, to be able to serve alcohol, in this case beer and wine, with their meals. I would like to add too that council does have scrutiny over these type of operations through the special use permit process, and certainly when that process commences, they'll be able to determine whether or not they want to put any conditions on a smaller restaurant with 30 seats, and certainly can do that on the business licensing when that comes forward for council review as well.
So you mentioned the beer bar. The previous council did not want to have a beer bar situation. Does this not get closer to that situation as far as having beer bars established?
I don't believe so, only because we still keep in place the requirement of service of the beer and wine with a meal. And the policy today is if you order your meal and you order a glass of beer with that, you can't continue to order beer after you've completed your meal. There must be a meal that is being consumed while the alcohol is being consumed.
Excuse me one second. Angela, are the microphones okay?
I'm trying to make sure that it is okay. I'm not getting the blue, but it's recording though. It's fine.
Okay.
So the meal being still a requirement does not bring us closer to a beer bar. If we remove that component, it certainly would.
Remove the component of the seating.
No, remove the
Requirement.
component of the meal as a requirement to have a glass of beer. If that was removed, then certainly we would have essentially a beer bar, a smaller tavern. But with the meal as a requirement, I don't believe we come closer to that.
Okay. Councilwoman?
Move to approve.
Well, let me open it up. I'm sorry. Let me open it up for public discussion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this item? And so please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing none. Councilwoman?
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Agenda item number 4, which is bill number 2010-16, requires certain contractors and employers of employees hired to staff gaming hospitality operations to be signatory to collective bargaining agreements where the city or the city's redevelopment agency has a specific financial or proprietary interest, proposed by Brad Jerbick. Staff.
Last December, the council approved a memorandum of understanding with the Culinary Union that included the redevelopment agency also. One of the elements of that agreement was that the city would bring forward an ordinance of this nature to require when the city has a financial interest that's set forth in the ordinance and was based upon a Pittsburgh ordinance similarly, that the contractors and employers of employees staffing a gaming hospitality operation, those
Bless you.
locations would need to sign collective bargaining agreements. So this implements that portion of the memorandum of understanding. Mr. Jerbick, city attorney, had wanted to be here today to present some more detailed background. He requested that this item be held in abeyance till the next meeting where he can do that, but he suggested that we put the bill on the record and invite anyone who was here today to speak if they wish to, and then request that it be held until the next meeting.
Okay. At this time, I'll open up the floor to any public comment. If there's anyone here wishing to speak on this item, please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing none. Councilwoman?
Well, I move to obey. Is that, I have nothing to add to this, other than I have a feeling about how we got into this in the first place. But if it's being obeyed, then I'll move to obey.
Okay, all in favor?
To the date that requested by Mr. Jervick.
May 4th? So your motion will be to obey until the May 4th?
That's my motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to indicate that both of those bills will be eligible for adoption on May 5th. Mr. Jerbick wanted to retain the schedule for the adoptability of this one, even though it was held in abeyance here. So it'll be published so as to be eligible on May 5th, which is the day after you'll convene again. That doesn't mean it has to be adopted that day, but at least it'll be eligible.
Okay, thank you for that. We're now down to citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the committee. Is there anyone here willing to speak on this item? Seeing none, Councilwoman?
I have nothing to say anymore. Do you want me to move to adjourn?
Yes, ma'am.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.